mantras of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, a veil behind the heart, a lid over the mind, divide us from the divine. Love and devotion rend the veil. In the quietude of the mind, the lid thins and vanishes. With our love and blessing, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo, taken from the collective works of our Lord Sri Aurobindo SABCL, Letters on Yoga, Part 2, Section 3, Experiences of the Inner and the Cosmic Consciousness, Part 1, page 993. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, it is equally important for those who want that union with the divine, without which the transformation is impossible. The aspiration could not be realized if you remain bound by your external self, tied to the physical mind and its petty moments. It is not the outer being which is the source of the spiritual urge. The outer being only undergoes the inner drive from behind the veil. It is the inner psychic being in you. It is the inner psychic being in you that is the Bhakta, the seeker after the union and the Ananda. And what is impossible for the outer nature, left to itself, becomes perfectly possible when the barrier is down and the inner self in the front. For the moment this comes strongly to the front or draws the consciousness powerfully into itself, peace, ecstasy, freedom, whiteness, the opening to light and a higher knowledge begin to become natural, spontaneous, often immediate in their emergence. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, once the barrier breaks by the one moment or the other, you begin to find that all the processes and moments necessary to the integral yoga are within your reach and not, as it seems in the outer mind, difficult or impossible. The inmost psychic self in you has already in it the yogin and the bhakta, and if it can fully emerge and take the lead, the spiritual turn of your outward life is predestined and inevitable. In the initially successful sadhak, It has already built a deep inner life, yogic and spiritual, which is veiled because of some strong outward turn the education and past activities have given to the thinking mind and lower vital parts. It is precisely to correct this outward orientation and take away the veil that he has to practice more strenuously the yoga, integral yoga. Once the inner being has manifested strongly, whether by the inward going or the outward coming movement, it is bound to renew its pressure to clear the passage and finally come by its kingdom. Our Lord says a beginning of this kind is the indication of what is to happen on a greater scale hereafter. The cry you heard was not in the physical heart but in the emotional center. The breaking of the wall meant the breaking of the obstacle, or at least of some obstacle there between your inner and your outer being. Most people live in their ordinary outer ignorant personality. Most of the people live in their ordinary outer ignorant personality, which does not easily open to the divine. But there is an inner being within them of which they do not know, which can easily open to the truth and the light. But there is a wall which divides them from it, a wall of obscurity and unconsciousness. When it breaks down, then there is a release, a feeling of calm, ananda, joy, which you had immediately afterwards were due to that release. The cry you heard was the cry of the vital part in you, overcome by the suddenness of the breaking of the wall and the opening. It is not possible to distinguish the psychic being at first. What has to be done is to grow conscious of an inner being which is separate from the external personality and nature. A consciousness or Purusha, calm and detached from the outer actions of the Prakriti. The experiences you describe are psychophysical, of which the only important one is the current going up, which is the beginning of an attempt to create a path of connection between the mental center, which is the inner mind, will, vision, in the forehead, and the higher center above. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says the obstacles can only be got rid of gradually by persistent sadhana. The alternation of dark and bright states is normal and inevitable. The light in your experience indicates an action of force. Bluish probably indicates the spiritual mind force, and the rest was a working to open the higher spiritual center, Sahasradalam. It is rather a pity that fear came in and spoiled the inner moment, for this inward moment is exceedingly important for the sadhana. The increasing frequency and completeness of the psychic consciousness in you coming in and replacing the ordinary one has hitherto been the most hopeful sign of progress. But the establishment of an inward movement would be a still greater thing, for its natural result would be to liberate the soul within and to give you a stand in the inner being, so that you would be able to regard any fluctuations in the outer consciousness without being subjugated by them and without any interruption of the inner poise and freedom. But the moment is bound to come back and fulfill itself. It is very good that the help comes when you call and that you can shake yourself free. It is another sign of the psychic growth, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, whatever difficulties there may be still in the outer nature, they will not make any difference to the fact that you are now awake within, the Divine Mother's force working in you, and you, her true child, destined to be perfectly that in all ways. Put your faith and your thought entirely on her, and you will get through all safely. It is on the surface that the transformation is done. One comes up to the surface with what one has gained in the depths to change it. It may be your need to go in again and find it difficult to make the movement back quickly. When the whole being becomes plastic, you will be able to make whatever movement is needed more quickly. It takes time, of course, to make the transition from one state of consciousness to another. The depth of the feeling will come more and more as your consciousness draws back from the claim of external things and go deeper into the heart region, seeing and feeling from there with the psychic to prompt and enlighten it. Faith also will increase with that moment, for it is the outer intellect that is infirm and deficient in faith. The inner being in the heart has it always. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says the self-will of the mind, wanting things in its own way and not in the divine's way, was a great obstacle. With that gone, the way should become much less rough and hard to follow. The outer being can grow in faith, fidelity to the divine, reverence, love, worship, and adoration. Great things in themselves, though in fact these things too come from within, but realization can take place when the inner being is awake with its vision and feelings of things unseen.
May thy will be integrally done, O Lord. It is my happiness and my law.
says our Lord. Till then, one can feel the results of the divine help. And if one has faith, know that they are the work of the divine. But it is only then that one can feel clearly the force at work, the divine presence, and the direct communion.
शिवम केवलं भासकम भासकानां तुरीयमतमः पारमाद्यन्तहीनं प्रपत्ये परम पावनमद्वैतहीनं नमस्ते नमस्ते विभो विश्वमूर्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते चिदानन्दमूर्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते तपोयोगगम्य नमस्ते नमस्ते श्रुतिज्ञानगम्य ॐ नमो देविष्ठाय प्रियदवदविष्ठाय च नमो ॐ नमः क्षोदिष्ठाय स्मरहरमहिष्ठाय च नमः ॐ नमो वर्षिष्ठाय त्रिनयनयविष्ठाय च नमः ॐ नमः सर्वस्मैते तदितमतिशर्वाय च नमः
Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, all experiences come in the silence, but they do not come all pell-mell in a crowd at the beginning. The inner silence and peace have first to be established. The difficulty lies in you entering into your inner being and begin to have experiences. But there is a difficulty in organizing them or seeing them coherently. The difficulty is because the inner mind is not yet sufficiently habituated to act and see the inside things, and therefore the ordinary outer mind intervenes, tries to arrange them, but the outer mind is unable to see the meaning of inner things. When the outer mind is left outside altogether, the things inside begin to be seen vividly and clearly, but the inner mind not being active, either their coherence is not seen or the consciousness lingers in the confused experiences of the lower vital plane and does not get through to the deeper, more coherent and significant experience. A development of the inner consciousness is needed. When that development takes place, then all will become clear and coherent. This development will take place if you, without getting disturbed, you quietly aspire, go on calling the Divine Mother's force to do what is needed. Your call will always reach the Divine Mother, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Your call will always reach the Divine Mother. If you remain quiet and confident, you will, in time, become aware of the answer. The more the mind becomes quiet, the clearer will it become to you, and you will feel her working. From time to time, you can write of your experiences wherever an answer is needed. I will answer, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. That is what is meant by contact, and that is how it comes, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo.